live and direct, my friend.
That's right. Hello and welcome, all you cultured bumpkins. It is allergy season. It is pollen season, and I live in a pine thicket in Mississippi. So, please excuse the untoward the raspiness, but I feel fine. If that's any solace, probably isn't. But I feel great today. We are joined by someone whom I'm a big fan of from TikTok. And he's just more fun than a barrel of half-witted monkeys. He's a great guy. Matt Conaghan. Did I say your name right?
That's right. Thanks, Jake. I
Man, yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So
Matty Conaghan. Friends call me Matty.
yeah, and Conajam on TikTok, Instagram. Are you active anywhere else? YouTube?
I'm big on MySpace. No,
Okay.
I'm big on YouTube. YouTube, I just kind of started recently, and then I'm
Okay.
also doing. Yeah, it's mainly Instagram and TikTok. That's where I started,
Okay.
and did it in secret for a while, and then got the gumption to make it public. But
Nice.
here we are.
Nice. Good deal. Well, yeah. Tell us about yourself, if you didn't mind, as much as you're willing to divulge.
Okay. Well, my social security number is 5. No, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm from. Yeah, you're typing it. Let me grab a pen real quick. So I'm originally from Maryland. So middle of 5 kids. We're all 1 year apart. So maybe that's a Mississippi thing too. I don't know if that's the thing.
That's I'm one of 13.
Oh my gosh! Dang, I've been vested.
So yeah, five's a big family. It really is.
5. Yeah, we got Katie, Willie, Maddie, Bo, and Lily. So we're all like a lot of Irish twins, a lot of all that stuff.
Right.
It's funny that you mentioned like pollen season stuff too, because I feel like I do a couple impressions and things. I don't know if you've seen some of those, but
Oh, definitely.
when I have like allergies, like right now, or when you have like you're a little hungover if you're watching basketball, drinking some beers last night. I don't know how cultured that is, but yeah. But I feel like I can sometimes do like certain impressions better if I'm a little bit like raspy in the voice. Like,
Yeah.
I think a Tommy Shelby, where it's like, all right, listen here, got a little bit of rasp in the voice, Grace. You're talking like this. Or even like the Alfie Solomons is like, all right, Tommy, you filthy gypsies, mate. You're not here drinking whiskey, mate. And like you have a little bit of rasp where I can't do them if I haven't, had a couple pops the night before.
Yeah,
McConaughey's the same too, where he's like, there's 2 different McConaughey's where he's like, you're just living, man. If he's kind of pontificating in a Lincoln, he's talking a bit. He's had a couple things down. He's had a little wild turkey or so, but then the Wolf of Wall Street one is a little crisper. So he's
that's
punching,
awesome.
pump those numbers up, dude. So it's less raspy. But yeah, sorry, a little bit of a tangent.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, man. A little bit about me. Grew up in Maryland. Went to school at Notre Dame. Me and my buddies had a spot out near Wrigley Field, right when the Cubs won the World Series.
Very nice.
And that was really fun. So I was there working in advertising, writing scripts. I was writing things from, beer brand, like Modelo was my main client. And then I do like CDW and Cisco. So it was, beer, computers, all those things and anything in between. Wrote Olive Garden commercials for a little bit, Mr.
Really?
Peanut stuff. Yeah, like ran the whole gambit, but it was fun. I was there. And then I had written enough Olive Garden commercials for a year where it felt as endless as the breadsticks. And I was like, dude, get me, I can't keep doing this. And so I ended up having an opportunity. My brother and his co-founder started a company in Dublin, Ireland. So he was like, hey, we don't have a ton of money, but we need someone to run the marketing. And I got into this sort of graduate program, this master's program, digital marketing strategy. And I'd been writing a bunch. So was able to go over there and take this course in the mornings. And then I would go work with this company, change donations in the afternoon. So it was really fun because, you bought a one-way ticket to Dublin, was there from 2019 to 2022. We were building out this company, hiring people, going to the US. It was like, I had only been writing ads and doing a little bit of EO stuff, but hadn't really been running the marketing of a company. So it was a really fun challenge. And then when COVID hit, my brother had gone back to the US to help expand our company to the US. And so I was in Ireland by myself during level 5 lockdown. So we're there and I would go out and I was like, I would go out and if you went on a run, the Garda, the police would stop you and they're like, oh, where? I'm like, oh, I'm in Do. You'd have your little housing card. And like, oh, you're more than 5 kilometers. Well, you got to turn back. Like, you could go to the grocery store only 2 days a week. I tried to buy a jump rope one time, and they were like, "It's not an essential item." So I tried to, like, bribe them with cash. I'm like, "Can I just get this jump rope? I'm so bored." And that was actually how I started making videos, because I had written a lot of sketch in Chicago, like Second City groups and stuff. So I loved writing for people, and it was just sort of by default that I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can just write for myself and have the camera talking to myself or
Right.
doing whatever thing is." And it was sort of out of boredom and, like, going insane living alone in Dublin that I started putting videos out. They started going viral in Ireland and then expanded to the US. So
Interesting.
one of my characters was an Irish person pretending to speak American, and, like, hundreds of comments being like, "Hey, really good try." And I'd be like, "Oh, throw it in the bin," or, like, watching a film, or, it would be close. I was like, "My maths class was really hard in Fort
Right.
Lauderdale." And so, like, I'm in Clarksburg, Mississippi. And, like, they're like, "Oh, you almost had it, buddy." So they were very earnest comments. And I'm like, "Oh, I'll keep on trying. Maybe I'll come to America one day." But that happened. And then we ended up selling the company. And I'll wrap this up too. So, and then I got back to DC, or Maryland, where I grew up, spent the holidays there, got a Subaru Crosstrek, and I just drove west, and I came to California, and I've been here for 3 years now, and loving it. It's been the best decision I ever made. So it's been fun.
That's fantastic, man.
Thanks, man.
The yeah, I think um Irish tourist was probably the first thing that I saw, and I
No
was like,
way.
"Oh, that's so funny." Like
Yeah, dude.
it's like like you said, all these little how they'll say like miles away instead of miles away. Like I don't know, just weird
Yeah.
little things, but these little um you
Well,
could
they
just tell
speak
it.
the way they, like, extend the A, like hard, like far off into the sunset. You're like, "Oh yeah, hi." Well, I'm in high school, primary school, and then you're trying to do these little things. And I like those sort of idiosyncrasies where you're like, "Oh, it's we say it this way or that way," and I'll kind of jot it down every time. Or like Budweiser, like I'll have a case of Budweiser at pre-drinks, and you're like, "Okay, yeah." Or what kind of cop are you, man? It's like it's how it is.
The just a minute ago, I think my latency lagged when right as you said I went to college. You said you went to Notre Dame. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I went to Notre Dame.
Okay. Okay.
Big fighting Irish football fan. So
Man,
I
so
don't know if
y'all
you're like a Ole
I don't
Miss or a Mississippi State fan, or
I'm a Mississippi State fan, and that's a tough life, but I
like
do like,
ring the bells.
exactly. Those are obnoxious. They really are.
So
I
are
got
Notre Dame fans, so I get you.
I got hit by a ringer. It came out of someone's,
Oh,
like,
damn.
ring from the, like, upper deck, and it hit me in the back, made a big bruise last year.
Shoot.
Yeah, they're dangerous. Yeah, but yeah, I'm a big football fan, so congrats.
Oh,
That
very
was a
nice.
great game. I'm kind of a Bama hater in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's
Man.
not really, but it's like I like to see a new face kind of be competitive because the last
Yeah.
2 times Bama played, the last 2 times, Notre Dame was in it, it just wasn't a good game. So this was good to see them sort of
It was nice.
go through the series.
I was at that Notre Dame Indiana game,
Mm,
sitting in the stands and with a lot of my college buddies. And I was also at the Notre Dame Alabama game in 2012. Sorry for losing some listeners here, but the Alabama fans, they were beat us 50 something to nothing. We were getting absolutely smoked. And the fans were like, "Our boys are just too big. They just growing big down here. Sorry about." They were like so nice, and I was like, "Oh man, I hate how nice you are." It's just like, why are you so kind about this victory? It almost made it worse for me, but it was fun. It was a good
that's
time.
really cool. So, you've definitely done a lot of writing for other people and for
Yeah.
yourself. What, was something that sort of triggered that interest? How'd you get into writing?
Oh man, I've always liked to write. I've always sort of had a notebook by my side, and you have sort of silly ideas. A lot of the videos that I do, like I'll do these sort of Craigslist roommates or fun facts or like bad first date stuff, and it's a lot of just sort of notes I jot down in the middle of the night. Like I don't really sleep very well on Monday nights, and so I just kind of plan to write things down until
Okay.
like 3 in the morning or so, and then I fall asleep. But it's like it's sort of nice to know that I have that time to think of things, or like, oh, this could be good in this instance, or like I'm working on a pilot or a different movie and I'm like, this would be good for this character. So it's sort of like little buckets within either my notebooks or notes app. And but before that, man, I always loved to read as a kid and write as a kid. And I had not a lot of people could read in the car. And with our big family, I'm sure, as you know, it's a lot of big car road trips.
Right, right.
So I'd kind of be sitting in the back seat reading different stuff. And yeah, it was all the Lemony Snicket books and Treehouse books and everything when you're a kid. Um, and then in college, I went to Australia, or I guess when I first got to college, a group of my buddies, I would always film stuff too. I was always editing stuff. I had a little handy cam thing, and sort of just I would go around and edit little videos always growing up. So from
Okay.
like fourth grade on, the little iMovie stuff.
Right.
So I was either write little sketches and film stuff and edit stuff with my friends in the neighborhood, and then did that in college and kind of hit that first dose of virality with some of my college buddies. It was that like stuff people say or like stuff people don't say back in 2011 or something,
Right.
YouTube heyday, no monetization. And that went viral on campus. And we felt sort of this like campus celebrity across the Notre Dame campus. It was so bizarre. We're little freshmen feeling a little bit of this like walking tall, the football players like, hey, I saw you in that thing. And it was really fun. And then I ended up writing a lot of other things. I wrote a blog when I was living in Australia that kind of went viral too. I'm glad that that's off the internet now, but it was like viral at the time when I was like a silly college kid. And that actually got me my job in advertising because I was working as a business. I was going to go just standard business major, and ended up like using these things I had written. I was on like a campus SNL thing called the Keenan Review, which was really fun. So we'd put on a big show, kind of making sort of inside jokes and making fun of ourselves. And yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of just sort of like when I got to college, I really let that blossom. I feel like in high school, which was really fun. I loved my high school. It was definitely more like focused on sports and academics and things like that. And then when I got to college, I sort of had this ability to let these more silly, fun writing things come out, whether it was silly, earnest, or fun. But yeah, that's sort of how it's been.
That is really cool.
Thanks.
The Yeah, I have a fascination with writing myself, even though I don't
Mm.
really do it. I've done enough of it to know that I want to keep writing, even if it's just for me
Yeah.
and no one sees it. It's a good creative release for me.
What would be something that you'd like to write? Is it more of like a classic style or is it poetry or
Well, a little of both. Poetry, I would be much, and maybe you're like this, but the more you pour your heart into it, the less you are ready for it to get uh, cut to ribbons out
yeah.
in the public. You know what I mean? Because I'm not successful enough to do that. Whereas, let's say if I do a voiceover and someone, oh, I didn't like it, or I didn't like that character you did, it doesn't
Yeah.
really bother me because,
You're
yeah, well,
successful in it.
the producer thought he paid me pretty well for it, so that's all I care about. So it doesn't
Yeah.
really bother me, but yeah, poetry. But then I have two of my boys they're young and they really like birds.
Nice.
So I've been kind of working on a sort of Winnie the Pooh style set. Winnie the Pooh, Wind in the Willows, set in the South with Southern topographical features and animals, kind of a thing.
Oh, that's so
Um,
great. That's
yeah,
a little ornithology, budding
exactly.
ornithologists. These are you thinking like a children's book or a young adult book or
Like early reader kind of a thing, but also
okay,
where
nice.
it makes them want to continue. Like maybe not even illustrated, maybe a little pencil drawing in the first chapter,
Yeah.
but like nothing. It's enough where I don't know, 10 to 14 would probably really like it, kind of a
Okay,
thing.
nice.
Yeah, and yeah, Mr. Owl is the protagonist, and
Owls are I love owls, man. Owls are they just have such clear wisdom to them. But I have some friends here that have the two of them find these owls as like very good luck charms. If they see them, they've had a lot of history where they see an owl and
right,
something great happens right after that too. But it is funny you talk about like, oh yeah, I don't want to put something out there because I'm not good at it yet. It's so hard to do that.
right,
And since you have such a great, voiceover career and you have these things, you're like, oh, I can put this out. I'm confident in my skills, but I haven't written a book. Like I'm not a writer. Like nobody's really a writer until they're a writer. And I've written enough little things. Like I've written a bunch of TV commercials and children's books, and I wrote like a song about a country song that's kind of blown up. And I still don't qualify myself as a writer. It's
interesting,
hard to do it. It's like oh, I make sketches online, or I do this, or like I copyright. It's not. It's a really hard thing to say because it feels like you're bragging. And like I wrote a musical with my writing partner, and we put that on, and it's still like, oh, we put on this show. You just want to downplay it. Maybe that's just kind of being raised in a big family, but you're like, I'm not a writer. I'm doing this for fun, but you really care about it. So it's nice. I do think all great writers though have this sense of like overconfidence in order to call themselves that. I was at a library in LA yesterday with a friend of mine, and we had this little tour walking around, and it was called the Clark Library, and there was a big portrait of Oscar Wilde, and the guy who had a lot of money, who proprietor of this library, he loved Oscar Wilde because a lot of his life sort of mirrored Oscar Wilde's life. But Oscar Wilde also had this huge portrait. It was like gigantic, but he had given it to his wife on their wedding day, and it was a huge portrait of himself. And I'm like, that's the confidence that only like clearly he's a confident guy to give a gigantic portrait of himself to his wife on their wedding day. And I'm like, I guess, I feel like James Joyce is the same. Like, it's like this combination of like confidence and self-doubt in all great writers. It's interesting.
Interesting that you mentioned James Joyce.
Yeah.
I just bought a what do you call it? Short story collection, The Dubliners.
Nice. Yeah.
But I haven't read it yet. And I was wondering what if I read it, what if you're familiar with him at all?
Oh,
what do
yeah.
what do I look for? What are some themes of his, that sort of thing?
I mean, James Joyce it's nearly impossible to read. Like, I mean, if you've read Finnegan's Wake, it feels like you're reading a different language. Or like Ulysses, it's just very long, but it's interesting. It's just one day walking around. And I mean, hopefully this isn't too much of a deviation from your question, but I have an interesting story. When I lived in Ireland and I was, went to go get that skipping rope or that jump rope, and they wouldn't let me do it. I was a little bit downtrodden, and I'm walking back. I'm so bored. I'm like, I got to buy a postcard. I go there to try to buy a postcard, and I can't buy a postcard. It's not an essential item. And then I go into this little shop, this little like sort of apothecary that has beakers and glasses and things like that. And I see postcards in the window, and I walk in and I'm looking around. I'm going to buy the postcard, and it's this little shop right near the Trinity College campus called Swenny's. It was an old pharmacy. And I go in there, and there's a guy in a lab coat and a bow tie. He walks out. He's like, kind of looks like Doc Brown, but he's like a lovable Doc Brown. He's like, oh, hello. Sorry about that. And I go in there, and I'm like, do you mind if I buy a postcard? He's like, oh, that'll be 50 pence, of course. Yeah, there's 4 of them. And what are you doing? Oh, tap. And he had this sort of like Irish-British combination accent. It was interesting. But we go there, and I'm like, oh, what do you guys do here? He's like, oh, we do James Joyce readings every Tuesday, and it's really fun. And I was a little confused because I was like, oh, everything's locked down. This is interesting. Like, I don't know how you can do this. He's like, oh, we're like an institution, so you can come by. And I was supposed to have a date that night, but I wasn't going to go anywhere. Everything was closed. And I was like, oh, I have a date tonight. And he's like, well, bring your date. And we'll come to the reading, and we'll read James Joyce. Everyone comes in here. We play some music. We drink some wine, and it's really nice. And I was like, oh, wow, I haven't really been around people in months, so this would be fantastic. Like, so and it's also 11 in the morning, and he goes, well, would you like a whiskey? I'm like, oh, I'm okay. It's a little early. And he's like, well, how about a Guinness? And I go, okay, I'll have a Guinness. And we chat for a little bit. He's a really interesting, great guy. He's a James Joyce scholar.
Interesting.
And we go there, and my date, Charlotte, who's wonderful, we go to the date. We have a little bottle of wine. We see 20 people sitting around this room, in this little tiny room. And then there's a table in the middle with a candle and a tablecloth. And they're like, he's like, oh, Matty and Charlotte, you've arrived. And yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look at Charlotte, and I go, I'm so sorry. I didn't know this is this. And immediately he makes us like stand on the table and read Finnegan's Wake out loud. And I'm like, we're like popcorn reading, people from, Poland and Brazil and Ireland. And then we're reading Finnegan's Wake for about 45 minutes. And Charlotte, English is not her first language, and she's standing there trying to read Finnegan's Wake. And if any of your listeners have ever tried, it's like, even as an English speaker, you're like, it feels like you have marbles in your mouth trying to read it. And she's standing on the table reading it. And then from then on, we stayed, and then we were drinking wine, and they were playing Irish trad music. We had like the fiddle, and it was an unbelievable night. We were there till 2 a.m. And I would go every Tuesday, and we'd read Finnegan's Wake, like sort of popcorn read around. And it was a really just fun moment in time. But I really have a soft spot for James Joyce. I haven't read anything outside of Ulysses and Finnegan's Wake, so I'd love to read the book that you mentioned. But yeah, he's got a really interesting life. And,
yeah,
a lot of turmoil. But yeah, really fascinating guy. and people in Ireland love them. They have a whole James Joyce Day, and people bounce around. And I'm still in touch with the people that do the readings. And
Oh, that's
whenever
great.
I go back to Dublin, I pop in and see them. It's been really fun. So
So, like, if you read James Joyce and what you can comprehend will be
yeah,
like indicative of how Irish people really are, kind of a thing.
I wonder. I mean, at the
Is it
time,
realistic,
yeah,
kind of a thing? You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I think at the time, it's very much like everyone's very proud. I don't want to speak for a ton of people, but it's like in Ulysses, you know all the spots. So you're like, oh, he went here. He was, St. Stephen's Green. He's in this part. He's like walking around very great parts of Dublin, but this is, so far back. So it's yeah, it's really fascinating to people, are really proud of the things that James Joyce talks about and the locations. I don't really know enough about his other works to be like, oh, everyone in Ireland loves the guy, but
Right.
yeah, it's fun to be around. I think people really like care about their, literary artists and historians and things like that. They have a real Irish are very passionate about, the Irish.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
good.
cool. How, far is basically, Irish is your surname, right? That's an Irish surname?
Yeah, Conaghan. There's a rogue G in there. We don't have the O and the apostrophe. We dropped that, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if we ever
The
had it, but
so how long has your family been over here? When do they come over, do you know?
I've got I've got some family in Donegal, and we've got and then on my grandma's side, she's from oh my gosh, I want to say Kildare, but I know that's not right. But yeah, we've had some family over in Donegal on my dad's side. Oh my gosh, I can't remember it. But yeah, Donegal over in the northwest. And we actually went on a little surf trip there when I was living over that way. Ran into some Conahans at a campsite.
Interesting.
There was like a group of kids. They had a little backhoe plow, and they were bringing a keg onto this campsite. It was like, and they had a keg in this little backhoe. They're little farmer kids, and they were going through the campsite. And we were like, "What's going on there?" We popped by. They're like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm Matty Conaghan." They're like, "Oh, do you know Kevin Conaghan? He's right here. Kevin, get your arse out here." And we were like, I'm like, "Yeah, I guess we're related."
That's
Um,
great.
it was wild. Yeah, it was a fun time. A lot of different, adventures out that way.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, you've written a children's book. I
I
is
have.
it you mentioned multiple ones. Have you written more than one?
I have written just this one. I
Okay,
wrote
okay.
it kind of with my brothers, Bo and Willie. And yeah, it was fun because my little brother Bo initially had the idea for this character, Roland, the traveling tumbleweed.
Okay.
And then when I was living in Dublin with my brother Willie, we sort of like I had written it and then we edited it down together. And then the illustrator, his name is Matt Maniscalco, and he really has these beautiful sort of like, I love his illustration
Oh, wow.
style. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, really fun. So the illustrator I had worked with, and we had done very sterile B2B work where it was like, here's a newsletter for a tech company about a conference. And then he would do these illustrations on the side. I'm like, Matt, you really got to get these illustrations out there in the world. They're so incredible. And so it was nice during COVID to have that opportunity to like reconnect with him and make such a fun piece of work that has been selling a lot, and kids really seem to like it. And I'm getting a lot of great feedback where it's like, hey, my niece like reads this every night. So it's been really fun. And my little nephews, they all seem to like it unless they're lying. They're a little biased. My 2-year-old nephew's a little biased, but he seems to like it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So what's it about?
It's about a tumbleweed named Roland, and he's on his same little road. He's there. He's rolling up and down the same dusty trail, and he finally gets the gumption to just explore this beautiful world. So he gets his bindle. He sets sail. He crosses the Grand Canyon, and then he just kind of like bounces around. He goes around the country, making friends, having adventures, and by the end, he realizes it's really not. It's less about where you go, but it's about who you share the adventures with, and it's really the ones you call home. So he ends up coming home and going back to his family, excited to take them, to the places he's seen and have those adventures with them. So it's really about like getting out of your comfort zone, but also remembering the people you love and the people you want to be with, or sort of who you want to share your life with. And
Yeah.
that doesn't have to be a single place; it can be anywhere. But it's really the people you call home rather than the places you call home.
That is really cool. Well,
Thanks.
I will, if you're listening, I'm gonna put the link in the show notes so you can go get it. I think if you, what would be the reading age you think for this?
Oh man, I mean, I think it goes from like 1 to 8,
Okay.
maybe 1 to 10. I mean, I've read to different classrooms. Like I've had some friends reach out and I've read it to, second grade classrooms. I've read it to like the little 2-year-olds have read through it and yeah, it's very tactile and colorful. So I think yeah, I would say 1 in 10. But I think people maybe over 10 they find it a little juvenile, but I think the message is still clear. So hopefully they like it.
That's awesome. That is so cool, man.
Thanks. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm trying to find some ways to get it in like scholastic book fairs or things like that. We've got it in like little local stores and Barnes and Noble and Amazon and stuff. And yeah, just trying to see how else I can get it out there. But it's been fun.
Good deal. Well, if you're listening, I encourage you to go check it out because it's a great author, great illustrator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you, Matt.
great storytelling. Yeah, you gotta check it out.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, Jake.
yeah, what do you think as far as into the future? What would you like to continue to accomplish or accomplish that you haven't yet? Like where you going with your career, if that's not too probing of a question?
No, man, it's something I think about a lot. I think I've been working at this tech job as a writer and content designer for about 3 years, sort of getting my footing in LA and meeting people. And now I've sort of made that transition into doing full time, either like freelance writing or trying to write in LA. I think, it's an interesting, fickle town. And the dream is to make what you love. The dream is to you say, oh, I really want to make this. I think this is a fun idea. I want to bring it to life in any way I can. Um, and to be able to make a living doing that, I feel like, you got to pay the rent out here. And I've done some funny, like oddball freelance stuff, but I'd love to be able to work on things and, whether it's selling a show or a movie or more books, music, uh, any way to do that, just to a larger and larger scale is really the hope. I wish I knew how. I wish I knew
Yeah,
like it's the proper channels, but yeah, that's sort of what I'm doing. I'm trying to meet with the right people, send all my work out to the right people, get it out in the universe. And as I wait for people, like for things to be made in that capacity, I'm also putting on other shows. Like one of my writing partners and I we had put on a musical about 2.5 years ago. Sort of that was really fun, and we're putting on with the same cast, putting on another show out in Death Valley, out in the desert. So we found this really beautiful theater called the Amargosa Opera House. It's in the middle of nowhere.
oh
It is
wow,
this, I don't know if you can pull it up like within the show, but if any listeners are looking,
let me see.
Amargosa Opera House, it is stunning. A woman in the 1970s from New York kind of stumbled upon this building and then she hand painted all the murals in it, and created this like little budding flower in the middle of a desert. And people would travel in from all over the world to come see her shows. They were very vaudeville shows, and she really just like it was a labor of love. Um, and this then she passed away in 2017, and so we are booked the theater for the fall, and we're writing this Death Valley variety hour featuring the Desert Players. It's very like comedy driven, but then all the acts are very classic, whether it's like sort of tap or vaudeville or things like that. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Let's see if
Let's
we can bring
see.
it up.
I don't normally do this, so I know I can do it with a picture, but I don't know. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah,
I just
maybe.
Googled it, and yes, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and all of the murals inside are hand painted, but now since they haven't really been putting on shows, so it's fun to like be selling these more
Well,
commercial projects, but also have this sort of like labor of love coming up in the distance. So
dang it.
no, it's all good.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
if
gonna.
people want to Google it. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
it's fun. It's like the first thing that pops up when you search it. But yeah, career wise, we'll see. I mean, I'd like to try to get into more voiceover stuff.
Okay.
Um, so I may need to pick your brain on that there, Jake. But yeah, just seeing what else is out here. I'm living out here. I might as well really go 100% and yeah, trying to write things that I love. That's the hope.
Man, that's great. I love to see that you're doing what you love, and any goals are just expanding on what you're already doing. That's really cool. I mean, I love
Thanks,
that.
Jake. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Well,
How
Thank
about
you very
yourself?
What's
Yeah.
that?
I mean, how about yourself? Yeah, this show is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, your work's getting great, and I mean, you got that children's book coming. I'm excited to check that out. I feel like you need a little
Yeah,
accountability, and
that's true. I do.
I'll text
Um,
you and say, Jake, what page are we on
yeah, right, exactly.
right
Yeah, exactly. I need a kick in the pants.
now?
The, 'Cause you know how it is with a project that the payoff is not gonna be today or next week. It'll be
Oh,
6 months maybe. Those are the easiest ones to put on the back burner. And, so yeah, in my case, same. I know voiceover is what I love. I feel like I'm good at it. Uh, I've been doing some coaching as well, which I
very nice.
really like. My 2 favorite people to help are young, actors, and then people like myself that were in their mid-30s before they even thought about it. I
No way.
those are my 2 favorite to sort of coach. And, so I've been doing that and, yeah, just more of the same, keep the nose to the grindstone and grow the old YouTube channel and,
Hell yeah.
yeah, try to keep the work coming in.
That's awesome, man. That's really
Yeah.
great. And what are you reading right now? What's the classic of choice?
Well, normally what I do, I go live every night.
Oh,
Right now I'm doing so what I do is I read it live, try to, perform it. I want it to be a good audiobook. And then just like this, streaming it to my YouTube live. Well, then I'll pull the audio and edit out the mistakes, the sidebars,
yeah.
the T-sips, and then repost it as the finished audiobook. So I'm kind of double teaming the same content.
That's
And yet
genius.
it's totally different content because some people like the personality of getting looked at and like, "Oh, excuse me, sorry,
Yeah.
that was a mistake." And then other people just wanna hear that. So right
Yeah.
now, The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle
Oh
is
yeah.
is the
Old
one I'm
Sherlock.
yeah, and then just on my own, I'm reading Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. 'Cause
Okay.
I like to read through one before I, um, like, record it. I don't wanna be blind reading through this book, read it
Yeah.
cold. So yeah.
Are there ever times where you read, you just feel like I gotta go full, you know, Cosmo magazine, or you gotta go like I gotta go, a biography, or you gotta go with something like totally different than a classic.
I mean, the reason why I like classics is they're classic because the writing is so good.
Hmm.
So, the only thing I can do is mess it up. You know
Oh,
what I mean? It's
yeah,
I'm not gonna add to the greatness of Jane Austen. I could mess it up. I could make it boring. But if I just sort of, uh, bat the balls that she's pitching me with some of these characters, then I
yeah.
think it'll be how and I do them in Southern too. So like
L-
the Jane Austen characters are like rednecks from a trailer park, like Lady Kathy D of Rosen's Trailer Park. But I read it as an audiobook. But when I do on like social media, I'll have a funny name or something. But it's just um, anyway. I
That's
just
fun.
sort of stick to the brilliant writing, which I really
No,
can't add to.
I mean that's great, man. It also makes the classics a little more approachable. I feel like
Yeah,
it
that's
makes it
exactly right.
it adds that. I mean, even like the little mistakes, like that adds the authenticity that I think people crave. I think, especially with all these new AI
Yeah.
voiceover stuff and video stuff, and you can just see it. And I think people more and more so are craving like that sort of. Have you heard of this thing wabi sabi, where it's sort
Mm,
of the art of the imperfection? It's this Japanese custom where they'll make a piece of pottery and add a little thumbprint in there because I
okay.
think it's the imperfections that make something so perfect. If something is perfect, it's actually it feels like a fake.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like when you're reading these stories and you're adding these sort of things that a robot couldn't do, it's something that people really want to hear. It just feels more comforting and less like
Right.
you're being tricked. But yeah, that's really cool. I can't wait to check out more of this stuff. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Well,
Um, well, this is what I'm reading right here. I got this George Orwell collection, which is pretty
oh, very
funny.
nice.
Yeah, so it cracks me up. I started reading it because this comedian named Caleb Heron mentioned it, and it's wild because it's just George Orwell kind of roasting other people. Like he
Nice.
roasts Dickens, he roasts Rudyard Kipling, and I love Rudyard Kipling's poetry.
Yeah.
Like my dad would make us memorize "If" and like recite it at the dinner table,
Right.
and it was. But then he also like will roast Gandhi. Like he just goes through this book and he's like Kipling's a jingoist imperialist. He's like, Dickens is a has been. And I'm like, damn, George, let it out. It's kind of funny. Um, and then he roasts other people that I've never heard of before, and I'm like, who is this guy? Why am I reading about this? and, but it's fun.
Is that like an essay form, or is that a
Yeah,
like or
it's a
short stories,
collection
or
of.
what?
It's called George Orwell's collection of essays.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I'm also reading. My girlfriend worked in hospitality, so I just read this book called "Setting the Table" by Danny Meyer, which is pretty interesting. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's cool. I try to mix things up, like and then I'm I don't know if you know Ron Chernow, the
Yes. Yes.
autobiography. Yeah, I've been trying to read the Ulysses S. Grant book by Ron Chernow for about 3 years now. I use it mainly as a door stopper or a paperweight, but it is really fascinating because you'll find out things where you're like, Ulysses S. Grant he never cursed. He would be on the battlefield and he'd be like thunder and lightning, like he would never curse. And he had such he like was living in squalor after his presidency, but then you'll like read 2 pages and just fall right asleep, and you're like have this heavy book.
Right.
It's like it's no offense to Chernow if he's listening, but it's great. It's just like it's
Yeah.
hard to get through.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never read that one. My go-to for biographies are David McCullough. That's who I like. I
Yeah.
like his writing style. I don't know. I really like it.
Did he do the Washington biography, McCullough? What did he do?
No, he did John Adams. He,
Yeah,
he did
that's a big old tome too.
right. He did. I think who was the president in the 40s? Democrat.
Barack Obama. No.
Yeah. Right
No.
after Harry Truman. Harry
Yeah.
Truman.
Oh, his life is fascinating.
Right. So he's done several like that, and then he'll do a whole like the Brooklyn Bridge. There was a whole book about the building of that, and then the Panama Canal, which is
Cool.
that kind of thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. So that's great. I really appreciate you coming on, letting us hear about your the Renaissance man that you are a little bit. But seriously, if you're
Thank
listening,
you, Jake.
go check the guy out. He is hilarious.
Thanks, man.
He's really restrained himself. And we've seen his professional side here.
Gee, man, I should have brought some jokes.
No, but I mean, it has to be. You got to be. If you're
Man.
talking literature, you got to be professional a little bit. So.
Shoot, I got more fart noises, maybe just
There you go.
It's mainly that, listeners. It's mainly just, Foley effects.
Bodily functions.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny. Before I let you go,
sorry.
I had 2 orders come in on the same day, just from people, and one was for a handcrafted piano based out of Italy called Fazioli. So it's like a really nice, they're $300,000 pianos because everything's handmade. And then the same day was this toy store in Britain called Smythe's Toy Store.
Yeah.
That had a dinosaur that burps and farts. And so I did this. It was beautifully written, and the end product was gorgeous. Sort of a narration, reflective, and it was deep and all this. And then right after that, okay, all right, let me send that to him. And then I went right into burp and farting and that kind of thing.
So funny. I mean, you're a man of many talents.
You got to be able to do both. You know what I mean?
That's so fun. Wow. And so then that's interesting that they'll reach out and be like, hey, we have this like product here.
Yeah.
It's a very refined product. And then we have this farting dinosaur.
It wasn't from the same person. That's
no, I know. Yeah.
But
okay.
so they probably would have had a pretty big laugh if they knew what else I was doing that day.
That's funny. Yeah, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Jake, sorry if I droned on a bit there, but yeah,
No.
for letting me chat.
This was exactly what I was looking for. Thank you very much. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of your continued success and growth in the future.
Oh, thanks, Jake. Appreciate that, man. Same to you.